Welcome to the demo of Azure TotalView. In the modern world of software development, digital transformation is a significant trend. It places customer satisfaction in the center and is required for competitive advantage. The aim of digital transformation is to produce quicker and more flexible digital products and services. One of the practical activities of digital transformation is adopting agility in software development in an enterprise level. Agility aims for shorter time to release, while still having an eye on security and quality, and often the teams producing software are decentralized, meaning that they are scattered around your organization in different business units instead of a centralized development center. Due to decentralization, new challenges emerge. It's difficult to predict release readiness for production or to interpret and consume the data produced by different projects around your organization. Speed is often achieved with the expense of quality. These are some of the challenges that we solve with Azure TotalView. Now let's look at a couple of practical scenarios with Azure TotalView. As an R&D lead in an enterprise, I'm responsible for multiple applications within a business line. I need to see an overview of the different in-flight applications to understand what is being worked on at the moment and if any projects need my help or guidance. At a first glance, it's overwhelming to look at all the different applications and projects that are in flight in my organization. Filtering by the business line that I'm interested in shows me only the applications and projects that are relevant for my focus. Looking at the table in the top, I can see different applications and their respective scores. Security, quality, and schedule are rolled up together to an overall score, and I'm interested in the applications that are on red. Having chosen the applications that are on red, I can check from the below chart which projects do those applications link to. From the thickness of the connecting lines, I can see that banking credit is the largest project working on those applications. So I will concentrate on that project first. Having chosen this project, I will now navigate to the product status view. In the product status view, I can see a breakdown of the banking credit project to 12 different versions. All of these versions have a red, amber, green status. Now, as an R&D lead, I would at this point contact the product owners from my team who are working in this project. As an R&D lead, this is the end of my scenario. I have successfully drilled down to identify the projects that are working on the applications that have a red status. From here on, I can trust my product managers and product owners to make the corrective actions to get my statuses from red back to green. As a product owner, it's my responsibility to make sure that we are delivering maximum value to our customers. It's often difficult to identify all the different versions and releases that make up our delivery package. I need to be able to communicate our release readiness and the estimated quality upon release. In the table in the top, I have my overall scores for each version. The scores are then broken down to schedule, quality, and security. In schedule, we can see the projected variance. In the projected variance column, I can see the amount of days that we will be late from our planned end date, given our current velocity, in delivering our requirements and story points for the release. Additionally, I can navigate to the quality page, and in here I can see a number of KPIs that affect my quality score. This is a great way to keep track of quality-related aspects in your in-flight releases. Going back to the schedule page, let's have a look at the bubble chart below. The graph itself explains to you how well each version or release is progressing towards its planned end date. Now here we can see 100%, which is the planned end date for any one of these releases. Some of our versions have actually gone over their planned end dates. Now, there's a clear action to be suggested to the project managers of these releases. They either need to remove some effort from their scope or change their planned end dates into the future. For an example here, we can see GLM 2.8, which has 92% of its version time elapsed, but only 61% of its story point delivered. According to their current velocity, they will not make it on time to release on the planned end date. Let's drill down a little bit deeper to find out what's going on in the project. To drill deeper, I'm going to select GLM 2.8 and navigate to the progress details page. The progress details page gives me a complete overview of the development, testing, and defect tracking for GLM 2.8. I can see the version end date and the schedule variance. Currently, it looks like I'm going to be 31 days late, which is not acceptable. When looking at the development burn-up graph, I can see that there's a scope creep in the middle of our project timeline. Now, if we would have had the original scope, we would be quite close to actually completing on time. But now you can see that the remaining scope is near to 40%, which is very hard, if not impossible, to catch up. Additionally, I can see that we started testing very late in the project. The impact of late testing can also be seen in our outstanding defect trend. Now there's a lot of things I can learn from this page. As a project manager, I would discuss with our product owner about the late scope creep that is threatening our ability to release on time. Regarding our testing strategy, it would be wise to start testing activities earlier to make sure that we are not bogged down by a large number of defects towards the end of the release. This marks the end of the product owner scenario. We got a request from our R&D lead to drill down deeper to find out what is turning our status indicators red. We were able to find some versions that are struggling to make their schedule due to late scope creep and a bad testing strategy. We can now discuss with our Scrum Masters and project managers regarding corrective actions in the current release and when planning future releases. Now, when planning future releases, it's good to know about the past. For this, I'm going to navigate to the History and Planning page of Azure TotalView. In this view, you can see the averages and the historical trends of some of the main KPIs that indicate how successful have the historical releases been in different applications. For an example, I can sort by the number of historical production incidents and concentrate on the applications that have had the most incidents in the past. Now looking at the trend, even if they've had incidents in the past, I can see that the trend is going down. Also, I can see that the customer satisfaction for these particular applications is going up, so I would not be that worried going in the future. These KPIs will give you a good overview on what areas should you concentrate in different applications when planning the upcoming releases. The next page I'd like to show you is about best practice compliance and process adherence. In a modern enterprise software development environment in the trenches of the agile transformation, we can clearly see a trend of quality assurance becoming a practice instead of a centralized department where testing and other QA related activities are run. When QA activities have been decentralized into business units and development teams, it can be very hard to keep track if the testers are following the processes they should. This page gives you an indication of how well people are following the best practices and processes defined in your company. Each project gets a best practice score and they are aggregated together to create the best practice score for each business line. Now let's select one of the business lines here and see a breakdown of the projects. The heat map below shows a visual indication of the best practice score and the project size. Now let's look at project insurance capital because they have a best practice score that is lower than the average. They have quite a high number of defects not linked to versions. They are not linking their tests to stories, creating test coverage as they should. They have some unestimated stories, actually a little bit better than the average at this point. They are constantly overcommitting to sprints, and their sprint scope stability is lower than the average, meaning that they change their sprint contents during the sprint, which is not suggested. As the last page I'd like to show you today is all about quality assurance. This view gives you a possibility to drill down on some interesting aspects. For an example, you can look at how quickly can you produce new requirements against your quality score. Additionally, you can find which applications are constantly failing their builds. Also, you can see your automation level percentages or track down your critical defects in which applications they are. That's all for today in our Azure TotalView demo. Thanks for watching.